and go. Hello everybody, welcome to the video series about peace with the title Peace of Mind, Peace for the World. And the idea for this video series came 2 weeks ago, actually, yeah, when I was thinking about my project that I'm now in. It's called Creating the Impossible, and I found out that I want to go for the impossible goal to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And this video series is one part to go for the Nobel Peace Prize. And yeah, I want to invite people who have some understanding of the three principles, and yeah, just let them talk about their ideas about peace and how to bring the humankind closer together. And today I have the special lovely guest Katja Symons. She's also from Germany, and yeah, we will starting this conversation about peace. And yeah, hello Katja.
Hi, nice to be here. My
Definitely.
pleasure.
Yeah, and to start, I want to just let you introduce yourself because I probably couldn't do it as good as you. So yeah, what's your story?
Well, my story, my goodness me. I was just a normal girl growing up in Germany. Finally, finally married and married an English guy and went to Spain with him. So I'm still in Spain now. Came through lots of thick and thin. In my story, was very sick, and then learned an understanding about the three principles, how I create my own experience in life, and how we're talking about peace here, how peace of mind is already my natural default setting. And I didn't know that. I was always very troubled, and hence I very innocently had created lots of health conditions for myself. And that was my biggest suffering, really, for many years, to be living with pains and health problems. And then when I came across this, it all dissolved, and I became quite a peaceful person and enjoying life again. And so it's become my purpose, really, that I share this stuff with others. And so this is more or less the very short version of, of a very long story. Yes. So yeah, I think that's more or less it. It's just.
Yeah, what I'm always interested is when you saw how life works, how you create your own reality. What did you feel, or can you describe what happened in this moment?
Well, it's a great paradox, really, because everything changed, but it didn't change. You must say that it looks different, but nothing changed. So it was like magic, really. It was on a day where I'd been listening to this CD, and I was always like curious, what's the guys talking about there? And I couldn't really understand it. And I at the same time thought, I know this. I know what they're talking about. Didn't it didn't mean anything to me until one morning I woke up and I felt really very troubled and very even sick in my stomach, like wanting to be sick, like feeling it was. And my only thought was, oh, my life is going in the wrong direction. This can't be it. And this is not right. And I was really troubled and feeling really bad. And all I could come up with was to blame the boyfriend, it's all his fault, and he can't be the right one for me. And I was really talking myself into like a frenzy. And then I heard this little voice said, oh, just go to the bathroom, and ended up having a shower. And first of all, under the shower, I was winding myself up even more. I was trying to figure out why I was feeling so bad. What's the matter with you? What's wrong here? And all this sort of went really, I became really angry. And then suddenly, out of the blue, it popped in what the guy on the CD said, that you cannot change the problem on the same level where it's been created. And I suddenly thought, well, then it doesn't make any sense to think about it. And then I can't remember a thing. And maybe an hour later or something like that, I wake up in my kitchen, not wake up, but sort of notice what was happening. And I was cutting my fruit and I was singing. It's like, da, 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 for breakfast. And I was like, what happened? And then I looked at my apartment and I looked at my things and I looked at my life, like in my head. I had like a film going through my head. My life looked totally different. And then I turned around and I looked at my boyfriend and he was beautiful. He was just stunning. And I went over and I hugged him because everything had fallen off me. Like all this negativity, all this frustration, all this not knowing and this feeling bad suddenly turned into feeling the best that I ever felt. And nothing had changed. He was the same man. It was the same circumstances. Everything was the same. The only thing that had changed was the way I thought. And I didn't do that. It just happened. And I was like, wow. Then I started looking into that and really broadening my understanding about it. And this experience that I was just describing is maybe about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't forget that. You just can't forget that actually it's inside of me. What makes it look like it's out there? Anything, everything. And it's very freeing. And I mean, I lived in this state of bliss for a few days, and then it sort of, started to dissipate, because it's not about living like this all the time. It's about knowing it. And you're creating like a faith. There is a faith that develops when you catch yourself a few times like this, that actually the experience is not out there, it's in here. And it's very humbling. Very humbling.
Funny, I never heard that story before. What came to my mind was about your relationships. You said that how you saw your boyfriend was totally different. You felt love for him. What changed outside of you, outside of this relationship, with the people you met, with the people you spoke to, with normal people you just met?
I think that I became so much less judgmental. The way I see people is that they're doing their best in the moment and they can't do any better. So I've become much more understanding of people, and I seem to see people in a totally different way. It's just like, really be upset with somebody as much when you know that they're doing their best. And of course you do get upset, but then I know that the upsetness comes from me again. It's the way I think about something. But when I see, with like, especially now after a certain amount of time, that all my relationships have become much easier and more loving and more caring and more seeing the good in people that is there, rather than judging their behavior, because behavior is just a reflection of what's going on inside of their own head. And so behavior follows that. And given the way a person thinks, they're going to react to that. And when I get upset, or if I get angry or something now, and I react to that and I have certain behavior, that my boyfriend, for example, doesn't take it personally. And it's very, very, I'm still with the same man, right? So it's still the same. It's amazing, because we've grown a lot with each other, with understanding this. And it's like it doesn't mean anything. You still get angry, but then it doesn't mean anything. And a moment later, you just have a cup of tea and talk about something else.
Mm-hmm.
It just becomes, yeah, life becomes a flow. That's my favorite saying in a way. Whatever happens out there is just innocently created by my own mind. So I'm less reactive, I'm more relaxed, more understanding, and I love people more. I mean, if that's possible, that all the time I love people more. I mean, the best example is my mum, really. You know, you should say, oh, you love your mum anyway, but I love her even more, and I love her more every time I see her, and every time I become more understanding about her frailties and about her fears. And it used to drive me nuts when she was in a fearful place. We met her, and I would be really like trying to wake her up, all with the best of intentions in a way. But now I'm just there for her, and she seems to be doing much better. It's like, you know, it's like reassuring for her that I'm calm and that I'm understanding is reassuring for her. And so we're talking about peace, right? So if I'm at peace with myself, I can be at peace with somebody else's frailties. And then when they feel that, they relax and they become softer towards themselves, and then their own behavior changes. And this is how it moves from one person to the other. And it starts with me.
Do you have any particular story that would illustrate this change in you, and that gave space for other people to relax, to calm down, and to see that there's nothing wrong with them or with the relationship in particular? I give you 10 seconds.
Talk a bit more. At the moment, I don't come up with one. What do you mean? Explain to me what you want.
For example, okay, I can share a story. So, my father, he was always a bit angry, like about everything, and I tried to change him. I tried to give him advice or to say what he could do and stuff. And when I saw the 3 principles the first time, I realized that I'm okay and that he's also okay. And by saying you're wrong or something like has to be fixed, it does not help anything, because then people become like defensive. And I didn't even think about changing him. And 3 months later, I talked to my mother in the morning, and she said, last month at the New Year's Eve, your father, we were eating, and at one point he said that he has a New Year's resolution, and he said it's one point he just wants to be a bit more calmer. And it was so huge for me, because it came from him, not from me telling him a thing, but just from himself. And at the lunch, we then talked a bit, and I said, like, yeah, Father, I heard that you want to be more calmer, and I really like this, and I actually saw this in you, that you became a bit more relaxed, a bit more funny, actually. And we had a good laugh about it. And when I left the house in the afternoon, I went out, and my father called me, Sebastian, please stay a moment. And he said, what you said at the lunch with me becoming more calmer, do you really think that I've become calmer? And it was in this so cute and innocent way. Like, I've never seen him like this vulnerable before, but it was so beautiful to see how he changed with not me doing anything, but just being more accepting, by just showing love for people. And yeah, I've just said a good laugh about it. And now I can see more of him being this funny guy that he was all the time. him sharing jokes with my friends, him showing up as this funny, loving person, actually. And it's beautiful to see how everything changes, not with me do anything, but just showing up with more love and more understanding for people.
Well, see, you got this wonderful story. Good one. But of course, you know, things like that sort of happen. And the funny thing is that I used to try and change people a lot because I wanted it to be a certain way, and I thought I knew what's right and what's wrong, and I had the, you know, the how can I say, as if I knew better, and I think I've had a lot of problems with that with people, really. You know, some people who are very understanding of me probably didn't take it personally and just did their own thing anyway, but others I had lots of conflict with, and I feel those things have sort of disappeared. I actually don't see that anymore, and I haven't even noticed. That's how natural it becomes to you to be just more relaxed. It just comes to you naturally. It's not something you try, or I'm going to be peaceful today, but that doesn't work. But it's like you say, you know, your dad didn't want to be told, but when it came from him, it was natural. So now he's on this same journey, you know. It's like change is happening, but it happens authentically from inside. Totally different thing. It's the only way we can truly change.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, and what we all don't know, is that we're all at core, we're all already perfect. We're all already doing the good stuff inside, and then we cover it up with our fears and with our worries and with thought, with our conditioning. We get in the way of that. Naturally, actually, we are already sweet people. You know, we are that, and it just, I mean, we're saying it in the language as well. It's shining through, right? It's shining through, and so we somehow know that at core we are good. Everybody has that, and then we get lost, and it's innocent, totally innocent. But yeah, I really like your story. I'm very pleased for your dad to be you know, in that situation.
Me too.
see how it ripples out. I mean, it started with you, and that's the only thing you can ever have an influence on is you. And then all you need to be is be authentically you. Nothing to do, really. It's just what naturally happens. And then others get touched by that. Now, when your dad's now being touched by that being, feeling, and more in the flow, what happens is going to be maybe his work colleagues or friends are going to go, what's happened to him? He's become so soft, right? Or they just might enjoy his company more. And then they relax, and when they relax, they touch some more people. So we are rippling this peaceful feeling from one to the other. There's nothing we need to do really, but just be peaceful.
What came to my mind was one thing we talked beforehand, about how to change the world, like how to make it not in your community, but like in the whole world. And you talked about Jesus and him walking along in different countries and showing up with this peace inside of him, with this love for people, and that people were magically drawn to him because of this feeling. So my question is, what do you see is possible for the world if more people wake up to our true nature and to what is already inside of us?
Well, you know, when it ripples out like that, it sort of touches people. It changes people at the core, and so they're going to change, and they're going to ripple out to others. So it's like a snowball system. It goes like that. Now, when I was in England a short while ago, I heard a really lovely metaphor by Rudy Kennard, who does the 3P Movies website. And I don't know if I get it right, but he said, if vampires existed, if they existed, it would only take, I think it was 2 months, that everybody would be vampired. If only every vampire would bite just one more person every day. Wow. So the whole population of the world, if for example, my peaceful feeling touches just one person every day, and that one person now starts sharing it with one person every day, within 2 months, everybody would be at peace.
Wow. Wow.
That's a theory. It's out of a little book of impossible or really unbelievable facts. I don't know if it's true. I need to do the mathematics, I think. It sort of, even if it's not true, but it sort of shows the impact we all have.
Wow. Wow. This would mean that this big mission to bring peace to the world would not be about like making it huge, but one person at a day, one person at a time. And I mean, that's nothing. Just showing up with this peace for one person, and then giving the other person the space to see it for themselves. Sometimes not even in the words, just like showing up with it.
Yeah, I notice that it's the most powerful thing I do with clients, is that when I'm at my best and when I'm at my most peaceful that I can be, I have the best results, or I can see that I sometimes hear myself speak, and it's not really me who's speaking, it just comes out of my mouth in a way that I wouldn't have been able to put it. But there's not so much a sense of I then, there's more this beingness that's rippling out into the world. And it's very, it carries a very beautiful feeling, and people, even when they don't understand your words, they can pick up that feeling. And it's in that feeling, because it's not something we can understand with our intellect. It's impossible to understand. It's at the core, what we are made of is peace, and we are born peaceful, right? We just respond then to our environment and start being conditioned more and more. But we're starting as unconditioned in a way, as totally clear, and we've got all this will of wanting to learn and explore and discover, and I was having this discussion this morning. It's about when we think we know something that we get into trouble. It's like we cannot know something other than only our personal view. And when we allow that to go to the side, I mean, it's really helpful to know how to drive and all those things that we can learn, but it sort of blocks the fresh to come through. And that freshness has this natural peacefulness attached to it, and love. It just, it's it's unconditional. It's very, very neutral. The most neutral it can be, you know. And so your project, in a way, is symbols. It's just, yeah, it's just, you know, biting one person at a time. The vampire story.
Yeah. Seems simple. Impossible. Yeah, and I think oftentimes you don't have to use any words. That it's just okay to have this feeling. And what I see that is sometimes people want to have like this technique or this formula how to be or how to be happy or so, but we don't really need that. We just have it already inside, all we're looking for. And if you see this by yourself, you tend to show up, and like you said, the words come out there naturally. It's the thing beforehand is right, and then what comes out is it doesn't really matter at all. When you show up
I'm
with love.
fascinated. You know, our colleague Felix, how he said he has this project that he would like to sit with somebody who doesn't speak the same language. And all that needs to be clear is that one's got a problem and the other one is sitting with that person. And I bet you that even when you don't speak the same language, you can be sitting with each other, and the mind comes down.
Yeah.
And when the mind comes down, their own peaceful feelings come back to the surface because it's already within them. It's that we get lost in the jungle of all the things that go on in our mind. Yeah, that's very visual, right? It's like, oh my God, this is all in here, and stop a moment, right? So I can sometimes really see my thinking, and so I can have all this stuff on my mind. It happens to me when I wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep. That I sometimes notice how busy my mind is, but I'm still having a peaceful feeling. And it's the most weird thing, really, that you can have a busy mind and still be peaceful, but it's like observing, though you can't really observe it, but it's like, I use this metaphor and I love it. It's like knowing you're in a film. You know, knowing you're watching a film rather than being part of the story. And that's really the difference, where the suffering falls away, that we know our mind is working a certain way. But this peaceful, loving, caring core never goes anywhere. And it's just available like that. Yeah, like on that morning when my mind totally cleared and the world looked totally different. It was as if somebody had switched on the light switch while before I was in the dark.
And then there was light. Wonderful. I think this is the perfect ending. Yeah, I really enjoyed our talk. Really, also the vampire story and how simple it seems, and how we can have this impact, one person, one conversation at a time. Really loved it. Thank you very much, Katja.
Thank you.
And if people want to stay in contact with you, or when they say now, wow, this Katja Symons, she's like, I want to talk to her, how can they approach you?
Well, it's maybe best through my website. So it's katjasymons.com. And I've also got a German one, katjasymons.de, just to keep it simple. And the spelling is KatjaSymons.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So, yeah, glad to have you here on the first episode. And we will definitely speak soon.
Okay, so, we will. Love it.
And out to the world, yes, this was the first episode, and I hope you liked it. If you liked it, share it or like it or whatever. And yeah, stay tuned to the next episode, which will come out probably in around 2 weeks. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. So, bye bye.
Bye.